For 20 years, Matt Lauer was one of the most recognizable faces in American television, earning as much as $25 million a year as co-anchor of NBC's Today Show. Then, in November 2017, a single complaint ended his career within 24 hours. What followed was one of the most sweeping downfalls in modern broadcast history, and years later, Lauer's story is still being written, most recently by one of his own accusers. Matt Lauer was born December 30th, 1957, in New York City. His father worked as an executive at a bicycle company and came from a Romanian Jewish immigrant background. His mother had worked as a model and ran her own boutique. He enrolled at Ohio University to study communications in the late 1970s, but dropped out in 1979, just 4 credits short of a degree, to take a job as a news producer at a station in Huntington, West Virginia. He worked his way up through local television over the following decade, co-hosting the syndicated lifestyle show PM Magazine in 3 different cities, briefly co-hosting the syndicated series Fame, Fortune, and Romance with Robin Leach in 1986, and juggling local hosting jobs alongside stints with ESPN and HBO in the late 1980s. A rocky run co-hosting the New York talk show 9 Broadcast Plaza ended when he clashed with producers over the show's increasingly tabloid direction. Not long after, in 1992, he was hired by WNBC to co-anchor its local morning show, a job that put him on NBC's radar. He joined Today as a news anchor in January 1994 and was promoted to co-anchor in January 1997, taking over from Bryant Gumbel alongside Katie Couric. Over the next 2 decades, he became one of the most consistently trusted figures in American morning television, also serving as a contributing anchor for Dateline NBC from 1997 onward and covering major stories, including the Oklahoma City bombing and the O.J. Simpson trial. In 1997, at 39, he went back and finished his Ohio University degree and later gave the school's commencement address. Lauer's personal life moved quickly during these years. He met Dutch model Annette Roque on a blind date in July 1997 and married her that October in Bridgehampton, New York. The couple had 3 children, Jack, born in 2001, Romy, born in 2003, and Tejas, born in 2006, and by outward appearances lived a comfortable, high-profile life between New York and the Hamptons. In 2006, while pregnant with their youngest child, Roque filed for divorce, reportedly citing emotional abuse and controlling behavior. She withdrew the filing weeks later, and the couple stayed together publicly for another decade before ultimately separating for good after the scandal that ended Lauer's career. That scandal began at the 2014 Winter Olympics in Sochi, Russia, though it wouldn't become public for years. A former NBC employee, Brooke Nevels, later told the network that Lauer had sexually assaulted her in his hotel room during the games. When NBC received her formal complaint in November 2017, the network moved with unusual speed. Lauer was fired on November 29th, less than 24 hours later, with his longtime co-hosts Savannah Guthrie and Hoda Kotb learning the news only minutes before announcing it live on air. NBC fired him for cause, canceling the remainder of his contract without severance. Within days, additional women came forward with their own accounts of harassment, and a Variety investigation, published the same day Lauer was fired, described a pattern of alleged misconduct spanning years, including claims that he had a button under his office desk that could lock the door remotely, that he gave female colleagues sexually explicit gifts, and that he made unwanted advances toward staff. NBC said it had received no complaints about Lauer's conduct before Nevels came forward, though some former employees disputed that account publicly, saying concerns had circulated informally for years without being acted on. Lauer has denied the most serious allegations, including Nevels' account of what happened in Sochi, maintaining that any relationship between them was consensual, though he has acknowledged making mistakes and having an affair with another colleague. He has never been criminally charged in connection with any of the allegations. The fallout extended into his marriage. Roque separated from him essentially immediately after the scandal broke, and their divorce was finalized in September 2019, with Lauer reportedly agreeing to a settlement worth as much as $20 million, including the couple's horse farm. The two have continued to co-parent their children. In October 2019, journalist Ronan Farrow's book Catch and Kill detailed Neville's allegations publicly for the first time, along with a broader account of what Farrow described as a culture at NBC that protected powerful men from accountability. Lauer responded in early 2020 with a lengthy public letter, denying the most serious claims and criticizing Farrow's reporting. Farrow stood by his account. Lauer largely disappeared from public life after 2017. He retreated to Strongheart Manor, a waterfront estate in North Haven, New York, that he'd purchased from actor Richard Gere in 2016 for roughly $36.5 million. He ultimately sold the property in 2022 for $40.9 million after listing it for nearly $45 million. People close to him have described the years immediately following his firing as a period of real isolation, with many friends cutting ties and Lauer rarely leaving home. He began a relationship with Shaman Abbas, a British-born luxury brand marketing executive he'd known professionally for roughly 15 years. In late 2019, shortly after his divorce was finalized, the two have kept the relationship largely private since, occasionally appearing together at low-key events in New York and the Hamptons. As of 2026, Lauer's net worth is estimated at around $80 million, and he has not returned to television or launched any new public project. The story resurfaced sharply in 2026 when Brooke Neville's published a memoir, Unspeakable Things, Silence, Shame, and the Stories We Choose to Believe, revisiting her allegations against Lauer in detail nearly a decade after she first came forward. The book's release brought renewed media attention to the case, and to Lauer's continued denial of the most serious claims against him. He was photographed in public with Abbas not long after the book's release, in what was described as one of his rare recent public appearances. Nearly a decade after his firing, Matt Lauer remains a wealthy man living a deliberately quiet life, largely out of the public eye, financially insulated from the consequences that ended his broadcasting career even as the allegations that ended it continue to resurface. He has shown no indication of seeking a return to television, and no new project has been reported. What remains is a case that's frequently cited as one of the clearest examples of the #MeToo era's reckoning with powerful men in media. A fall that took less than 24 hours to begin, and for the people who say they were affected by his conduct over the years, a story that evidently isn't finished being told.